Did the Carthaginians, the ancient rivals of Rome, set sail across the vast Atlantic and reach the shores of the Americas, nearly 2,000 years before Columbus? It might sound like a fringe theory, but some intriguing clues have sparked debate among historians and enthusiasts alike. Let's embark on a journey into one of the most fascinating what-ifs of ancient exploration. The Carthaginians were a seafaring people, masters of the Mediterranean, and inheritors of the great Phoenician maritime legacy. Based in what is now Tunisia, Carthage rose to power between the 9th and 2nd centuries BCE, commanding trade networks that stretched from North Africa to Spain and beyond. But were they content with the boundaries of the known world? Ancient texts hint at the possibility of voyages beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the strait we now call Gibraltar. In particular, a voyage described by the Greek historian Herodotus tells of a Phoenician expedition commissioned by an Egyptian pharaoh that allegedly circumnavigated Africa around 600 BCE. If the Phoenicians could sail that far south, could their Carthaginian descendants have sailed west? One of the most compelling pieces of evidence is the story of Hanno the Navigator. Around the 5th century BCE, Hanno is said to have led an expedition along the western coast of Africa, possibly as far as modern-day Cameroon or beyond. His journey, recorded in the demonstrates Carthaginian capability in navigating treacherous waters and venturing into the unknown. But how does Africa lead to America? Consider the currents. The Canary Current and the North Equatorial Current could have carried ships westward from the coast of Africa directly toward the Caribbean or South America. These are the same currents that later helped Columbus on his first transatlantic voyage. So the journey was not only possible, it was natural. There's also the question of archaeological hints. In the Americas, there have been sporadic claims of Punic inscriptions, coin finds, and cultural similarities. A few inscriptions in ancient Phoenician script found in places like Brazil or the American Southwest have stirred controversy. Most mainstream scholars dismiss these as hoaxes or misinterpretations, but others argue they deserve a closer look. And what about the Carthaginian coins found in the Americas? Several have been reported over the years, though the authenticity and context of these finds remain hotly debated. Are they ancient artifacts carried across the ocean centuries ago, or modern plants meant to deceive? Skeptics rightly point out the lack of solid, consistent evidence. There are no definitive Carthaginian settlements, tools, or relics in the New World. No surviving ships, no unmistakable trade goods. And yet, silence does not mean absence. The destruction of Carthage by Rome in 146 BCE erased much of its history, literature, and records. What knowledge might have been lost in the flames? Could maps, logs, or even stories of distant lands have been among the ashes? Some theorists even speculate that Carthage deliberately kept its exploratory knowledge secret, guarding lucrative trade routes from rival powers. If they had found lands across the ocean, would they have shared that with the world, or protected it as their most precious secret? Ultimately, we are left with tantalizing hints, curious coincidences, and a vast, mysterious ocean between the known and the unknown. The idea that Carthaginians explored the Americas remains a historical enigma, neither proven nor entirely disproven. In the end, perhaps the real value of the question lies not in the answer, but in the wonder it inspires. It reminds us that the boundaries of ancient exploration may have been wider than we ever imagined, and that the world, even in ancient times, was more connected, more mysterious than we often think. Could the sails of Carthage have once caught the Atlantic wind? The ocean keeps its secrets, but history, it seems, still whispers of the possibilities.